Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Rochester City Council regular meeting of October 30, 2020. I am City Council Vice President Willie Lightfoot. I just want to make a note that Council President Loretta Scott is not with us this evening. She had an emergency situation, so I will be filling in for her. Before we begin tonight's council meeting, I'll make a note of the changes we have implemented, suspending in-person meetings temporarily in compliance with the executive order. Our meetings are not taking place in council chambers, but rather through the use of video conferencing. During this time, we are continuing to offer meeting access to the public by posting meeting information and materials on the city website at www.cityofrochester.gov/public meetings. Number two, broadcasting our meetings live on the City Council's YouTube channel and sharing on our Facebook page and streaming live on City 12 TV. The meeting will come to order, and I ask the clerk, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Evans?
Present.
Councilmember Gruber?
Here.
Councilmember Harris?
Here.
Councilmember Lupien?
Here.
Councilmember Melendez?
Here.
Councilmember Patterson?
Here.
Councilmember Peel?
Here.
Vice President Lightfoot?
Present, ma'am.
President Scott.
I ask that the council please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Councilmember Gilbert, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the
republic
for which it stands,
one
nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dr. Gruber. And I would just add, we have a special guest with us this evening. We have a special recognition tonight, and we'd like to honor the incomparable Dr. William Baer. Dr. Baer is joining us via Zoom. And before I introduce Dr. Gruber to have a conversation with him, I would say that me and Dr. Baer go back a long time. He was my first doctor that I had, a primary care physician, as well as he was the doctor for my father, the late Honorable Willie Walker Lightfoot. And I have nothing but admiration for Dr. Baer and respect for all of the work that he has done, bringing Dr. Office on Jefferson Avenue, building it from the ground up and running it for many decades, and just doing a fabulous job for our citizens and keeping folks healthy and happy, and always had a great spirit and never heard a negative word about Dr. Baer ever. So I just want to say this is a recognition that is truly well-deserved. And at this time, I'll recognize Councilmember Dr. Gruber. I know that you've asked to make some brief comments or remarks before we read the proclamation. Dr. Gruber.
Thank you. And first, there's some feedback there. Hopefully it gets better. Let me just say, I appreciate being called Dr. Gruber, VP Lightfoot, but we're talking to a real doctor here, Dr. Baer. So I'm going to distance myself from those letters right now. And I just want to say, I've had the privilege for the past 12 years of working in the public health space through my job at FoodLink. And I've seen so many people, so many health systems, organizations, medical providers talk a big game about the social determinants of health, talk a big game about making sure that we do the work needed to be done to improve health outcomes in low-income communities. But very few people are actually willing to put their money where their mouth is. And that's just simply not the case when it comes to Dr. Baer, his partner, Dr. Mark Brown, and the work they've done with Jefferson Family Medicine. It is remarkable that these two docs were able to build an independent medical practice on Jefferson Avenue and run it successfully for so many years for so many families. And he's touched the lives of so many. When I found out that he was retiring, and Dr. Baer, if I know you, I doubt you're really going to be retiring. But when he said he was retiring, I felt it was the right thing to do to honor him before the whole council administration. And I'm pleased we're going to be able to read this proclamation. And then I would imagine that the mayor and potentially others have some words to say as well. But Dr. Baer, it has been an honor and a privilege to work with you. And you truly are a model for how to get things done and put your money where your mouth is.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Gruber. And Madam Mayor, do you want to speak now or after the proclamation?
I can speak now. I just want to thank Dr. Bear for taking great care of my in-laws. I know that that my father-in-law is going to be very upset to see that you're retiring. He doesn't think anybody can take care of him like you can. And so this is probably going to be as hard of a transition for my family as it is for yours. I know that the many patients that you have seen throughout the years not only appreciate you for being there for them, but for basically being a part of their family. They could always count on you to really be an advocate for their loved one and to answer the call when they called. And so I want to tell you to, that I appreciate you for all that you've done for the citizens of Rochester, and that I know that you will be missed. There are very few people that touch people the way that you have and have really impacted as many lives as you have. And I truly want to tell you, thank you so very, very much. And I wish you the best of luck in the next phase of your life. Now they tell me that retirement is busier than working. So I'm sure that take a little bit of time to rest, but we're definitely gonna miss you.
Thank you.
As a point of privilege, I'll open up the opportunity for any other council member who may want to address Dr. Bear before we read the proclamation.
Vice President Lightfoot, Dr. Bear, we had a brief moment to meet at one of the events prior to the pandemic on Jefferson Ave, but I found out during that meeting that you have provided care to my dear Aunt Ruby and her family on the Jefferson Ave, Exton Park area, and they are just so happy with you. And I want to say thank you on behalf of my family as well for taking care of them for all the 40 years that you've provided service for them. So it's going to be something that my family will miss, and I'm sure many others. And you have left a beautiful legacy for the Jefferson Ave families that attend and partake in that process.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Harris. Any others before we move on to the proclamation? All right, we will now read the proclamation for Dr. Bear. Malik.
Whereas, after completing his training at Highland Hospital and Harvard in the late 1970s and early 1980s, and earning board certifications in family medicine and geriatric medicine, Dr. William Halliday Bear began 5 decades of distinguished practice in medicine. And
whereas, being passionate about health and wellness, especially within traditionally marginalized communities, he chose to dedicate himself to work within the city of Rochester and specifically within the Southwest Rochester community. And
whereas Jefferson Family Medicine was founded in 1992 at 924 Jefferson Ave as one of the few independent primary care facilities situated in a low-income community. And
whereas, launching 4 decades of service with the goals of providing the best possible medical care in a comfortable and pleasant setting, and treating each patient with dignity, respect, kindness, and courtesy. And
whereas, the practice was dedicated to listening and responding to patients' needs and built as a place where staff and physicians work together in a spirit of harmony and cooperation. And
Brother Mike, you're muted, sir. Start over.
Thanks.
All right, sorry about that, but we had it open. Whereas, with the intention to ensure complete patient satisfaction, Dr. Bear became known as a very warm, welcoming, attentive, and caring physician, earning the devotion of his patients, many of whom have relied on his knowledgeable and earnest style to care for their families through generations and becoming like family himself. And
whereas Dr. Bear directed Jefferson Family Medicine to become more than a place to see a doctor, but rather a community resource. To practice sponsored free exercise classes, provided community and backyard vegetable gardens, presented healthy eating classes, and a diabetes prevention program. and hosted AmeriCorps Vista workers and students to learn about public health outreach and community engagement. And
whereas, ever mindful of the needs of his patients and community, even as he approaches retirement at the end of the year, Dr. Bera has facilitated the incorporation of Jefferson Family Medicine into the Rochester Regional Health Family, so his patients will continue to receive quality care in his retirement. Now, therefore, we, Mayor Lovely A. Warren, Council President Loretta Scott, Vice President Willie J. Lightfoot, Council members Malik D. Evans, Mitch Gruber, Lachey D. Harris, Mary Lupien, Miguel A. Melendez Jr., Michael A. Patterson, Jose Pio of the City of Rochester do hereby proclaim October 13th, 2020 to be a time to celebrate the contributions and upcoming retirement of Dr. William Holiday Bear. Congratulations, Dr. Bear. Would you like to say a few words?
Well, sure. Thank you very much. They don't call me Doc Holliday for nothing, right? But I just want to mention that the building we built at Jefferson Avenue was started because of a loan from the city. So it was really, I couldn't have built the building without the help of the city. So I don't know if I've ever formally thanked the city of Rochester and the city council for that. And I think Mayor Johnson was at our opening ceremony. And I'd also like to thank your dad, Willie. He's the one that really inspired me to work on Jefferson Avenue, and I miss him very much. Pat Jackson was also a big help. And also thanks to Mitch to help us with the food classes and the diabetes class. And I would like to say that when the insurance companies got the statistics together, Jefferson Family Medicine had the best control of high blood pressure and diabetes in the county. So it's my feeling that with proper attention that people can attain good health even in any surroundings. And then I think the last thing, well, there's two things that more I want to say. One is often patients would come to my office and they were referred by other patients, and then they were surprised that I wasn't Black. So I thought that was a kind of a good thing because it wasn't about any race involved in our office. And then even I went to get my blood drawn at St. Mary's a couple of years ago, and the blood draw lady who's been there for 30 years kind of stared at me. He says, "Are you Dr. Bear?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "I thought you were Black." So I think the first thing I do when I retire is to look up on Ancestry.com and see what's going on there. But, and the last thing I wanted to say was, I've seen many examples of racism in my practice. Some we've actually prosecuted, or I helped in prosecution, and it's real. Racism is real. Even last week, I had a patient who went to his computer at work, and he's only like 19 years old, and they had a screensaver with a Black man and white face. And that's what he went to work for. And that's devastating. So we hear about the horrible things, but we don't always hear about the little, not so little things that happen very frequently. And that's, you add that together, and that's also very harmful. It's like death by 1,000 cuts, as they say sometimes. So I've seen that in my office, and hope to continue fighting that. And I do have 50 gardens that we're maintaining. So I doubt that I will be fully retired, and I hope to do some of the stuff later. But thank you very much, and thanks to the city.
Well, congratulations, Dr. Bear. And of course, you know, you have always been a soul brother by definition, by the soul. And so, you know, my father was crazy about you. I'm crazy about you. We're crazy about you. City of Rochester is crazy about you. And we appreciate it. And thank you for your service to the Jefferson Avenue area and the citizens of the greater Rochester and Monroe County area. We want to thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, next we have the approval of the minutes. Councilmember Evans.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting on September 15th, 2020, and the minutes from the special meetings on September 18th, 2020 and September 24th, 2020, be approved as published in the official sheets of the proceedings.
Thank you, Councilmember Evans. And now we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Madam Clerk.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The following documents are hereby directed to be received and filed. The
That's my
mayor's,
line.
I'm sorry.
That's my line.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
The following documents are hereby directed to be received and filed. The mayor submits the following: quarterly report, professional service agreements, June 30th, 2020, administrative cancellation or refund of erroneous taxes, August 2020. The council submits disclosure of interest forms from Vice President Lightfoot on introductory number 370, Councilmember Melendez on introductory number 356, and Councilmember Patterson on introductory number 370.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. It is time for the presentation and reference of petitions and any other communications. Are there any petitions?
Vice President Lightfoot, I have a petition with 49 signatures related to the Family Dollar on Genesee Street.
Thank you, Councilmember Harris. The petitions will be received and filed. Before we move to reports of standing committees and actions thereon, we have a statement of necessity. Introduction number 372 is legislation authorizing an agreement with Wilmore Hill to review critical policies, procedures, and training requirements for the Rochester Police Department. I need a motion to refer introduction number 372 to the Public Safety, Youth, and Recreation Committee.
Move to refer the introductory 372 to the Public Safety Committee.
I need a second.
Vice President Lightfoot, can I just make sure that I understand clearly? We are referring it into the Public Safety, Youth, and Recreation Committee for further discussion without a vote coming tonight. Is that correct?
So, Councilmember Gruber, that is correct. Tonight, we will not be voting on introductory number 372. Tonight, since it was a matter of necessity, it did not come out of a committee. So we will be assigning it to a committee tonight for further discussions in the future, but it will not be voted on tonight with your second in our vote.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to second it, so it comes back to the Public Safety, Youth, and Recreation Committee. That would make the most sense, so second.
All right, well, it's been moved and seconded. Now we'll take a vote. All in favor of moving introduction number 372 into the Youth and Recreation Committee, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. Madam Clerk.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 to refer the introductory number 372 to the Public Safety Committee into the record.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Welcome.
We will now move to reports from standing committees and action thereon. Councilmember Evans, the Finance Committee report, please, sir.
Thank you. And to the council, the Finance Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 352, adoption of record retention and disposition schedules. Introductory number 367, a resolution establishing the schedule for council committee meetings and public hearings during 2021. Introductory number 368, a resolution establishing the schedule for regular meetings of council during 2021. Introductory number 369, authorizing a data protection agreement. Introductory number 370, authorizing agreement for walled garden development project. And introductory number 371, authorizing an amendatory agreement for outside conflict counsel services relating to the independent investigation authorized by Ordinance 2020-283. This report was respectfully submitted by Council members Lachey D. Harris, Michael A. Patterson, Council Vice President Willie J. Lightfoot, Council President Loretta C. Scott, and myself, Council Member Malik Evans.
Mr. Vice President, you would need to accept that report, receive it, file it, and publish it, and proceed with the vote.
All right, hold on. I'm sorry. Looks like I froze up a little bit there. Were you done, Councilmember Evans?
Yes, Mr. Vice President, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, sir. Introductory, now, Councilmember Evans, that report will be filed and published, and we'll proceed with the vote. Introductory number 352, legislation adopting record retention and disposition schedules. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Madam Clerk?
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Introduction number 367 is a resolution establishing the schedule for council committee meetings and public hearings for 2021. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Introductory carries. Madam Clerk?
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Thank you. Introductory number 368 is a resolution establishing the schedule for regular meetings of council for 2021. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Madam Clerk?
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Thank you. Introduction number 369 is legislation authorizing data protection agreement. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Madam Clerk?
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Thank you very much. Introduction number 370 is legislation authorizing agreement for the Walled Garden Development Project. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Madam Clerk?
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Introduction number 371 is legislation authorizing the mandatory agreement for the outside conflict counseling services related to the independent investigation authorized by ordinance number 2020/283. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Madam Clerk?
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Thank you. Councilmember Patterson, the Neighborhood and Business Development Committee report, please, sir.
To the council, the Neighborhood and Business Development Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 353, resolution approving appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals as amended. Introductory number 354, resolution approving appointments to the City Planning Commission. Introductory number 355, approving appointment to the Rochester Preservation Board as amended. Introductory number 356, authorizing agreement and funding for the city's RISE program. This report is respectfully submitted by council members Mary Lupian, Miguel Melendez, Vice President Willie J. Lightfoot, and President Loretta C. Scott, and also myself, Michael A. Patterson.
Thank you, Councilmember Patterson. That report will be received, filed, and published, and will proceed with the vote. Introduction number 353, as amended, a resolution approving appointments to the Zoning Board of Appeals. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Madam Clerk?
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Thank you. Introduction number 354, a resolution approving appointments to the City Planning Commission. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Madam Clerk?
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Introductory number 355, as amended, a resolution approving appointments to the Rochester Preservation Board. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Madam Clerk?
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Introduction number 356, legislation authorizing an agreement and funding for the City RISE program. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Madam Clerk?
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Councilmember Dr. Gruber, the Parks and Public Works Committee report, please, sir.
Absolutely. To the council, the Parks and Public Works Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 357, authorizing architectural professional services term agreements. Introductory number 358, bond ordinance to the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $649,000 bonds of said city to finance the 965 Maple Street roof replacement project. Introductory number 359, authorizing agreement for the 965 Maple Street roof replacement project. Introduction number 361, authorizing agreements and appropriating funds for the Pont de Rennes Bridge and Browns Race Rehabilitation Project. Introduction number 362, authorizing the implementation and funding in the first instance of the state aid program eligible costs of a capital project and appropriating funds therefore. The Parks and Public Works Committee recommends for consideration the following entitled legislation. Introduction number 360, authorizing pavement width changes for the preventive maintenance Northwest Group 12 Improvement Project. Introduction number 363, amending the official map by abandoning the Theodore Street right-of-way that is south of Clifford Avenue as amended. This report was respectfully submitted by Councilmember Malik Evans, Councilmember Jose Pio, Council President Loretta Scott, Council Vice President Willie Lightfoot, and myself, Councilmember Mitch Gruber. Go Bills.
Thank you, Council Member Mitch Gruber. That report will be received, filed, and published, and will proceed with a vote. Introduction number 357, legislation authorizing architectural professional services terms agreement. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. The motion carries. Madam Clerk.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Thank you. Introduction number 358, a bond ordinance to finance the 965 Maple Street roof replacement project. This requires a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupian,
Yes.
Councilmember Melendez,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Pio,
Yes.
Vice President Lightfoot,
Yes, ma'am.
President Scott.
This motion carries. Madam Clerk.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Thank you. Introduction number 359, legislation authorizing agreement for the 965 Maple Street roof replacement. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Madam Clerk.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Thank you. Introduction number 360, legislation authorizing payment with changes for the Preventive Maintenance Northwest Group 12 Improvement Project. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Madam Clerk.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Thank you. Introduction number 361, legislation authorizing agreements and appropriating funds for the Pont de Rennes Bridge and Browns Race Rehabilitation Project. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Madam Clerk.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Thank you. Introduction number 362, legislation authorizing the implementation and funding in the first instance of the state aid program eligible cost of a capital project and appropriating funds. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Madam Clerk.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Thank you. Introduction number 363 as amended, legislation amending the official map by the abandoning of the Theodore Street right-of-way. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Madam Clerk.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Here's where it gets a little weird. Vice President Lightfoot, Public Safety, Youth and Recreation Committee, would you please give your report? Yes, thank you for asking.
I don't trust that dude.
The Public Safety, Youth and Recreation Committee recommends for adopting the following entitled legislation. Introduction number 364, authorizing the grant agreement for the 2020 State Homeland Security Program. Introduction number 365, a local law amending the city charter with respect to the name of the Department of Recreation and Youth Services as amended. Introduction number 366, amending the Municipal Code 2020/21, budget with respect to the Department of Recreation and Youth Services as amended, respectfully submitted by Councilmember Mitch Gruber, Councilwoman LaShae D. Harris, Councilmember Jose Pio, Council President Loretta C. Scott, and myself, Vice President Willie J. Lightfoot. All right, so now report will be received, filed, and published, and we will proceed with the vote. Introduction number 364, legislation authorizing the grant agreement for the 2020 State Homeland Security Program. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Madam Clerk.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Thank you. Introduction number 365 as amended, a local law amending the city charter with respect to the name of the Department of Recreation and Youth Services. This requires a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Here,
Councilmember, is that a yes?
yes, I'm at.
Okay. Councilmember Lupian,
Yes.
Councilmember Melendez,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Peel,
Yes.
Vice President Lightfoot,
Yes, ma'am.
President Scott.
The motion carries. Madam Clerk.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Introduction number 366 as amended, amending the municipal code and the 2020/21 budget with respect to the Department of Recreation and Youth Services. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Madam Clerk.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 8-0 into the record.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You're
Now, is there any miscellaneous business to come before City Council? If not, ladies and gentlemen, Madam Mayor.
Lightfoot, I just wanted to make note for everyone that on Thursday at 6:30 p.m., Commissioner Danielle Lyman Torres and our new director of the crisis intervention team will be doing a town hall meeting. And so we want everyone that is interested in that to tune in. I think that a lot of information will be given at this town hall meeting, and we want everyone to have a chance to listen in and hear what changes we're making as it pertains to responding to mental health cause and gun violence going forward. So want to commend the commissioner and her team for putting this town hall together, and looking forward to hearing from her and the team on Thursday.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And with the look of all of the thumbs up and the claps that we received all across the board here on our squares, I would say fine job, Dr. Lyman Torres. We look forward to not only sharing that information with our network, but also attending and listening attentively to all of the great work that you guys are doing in the new Recreation and Youth and Human Services
Yes.
department, right? Okay. So if there's no other business to come before us,
Good comment.
okay, Mr. Patterson,
Well done, Council Vice President.
thank you, sir.
Agree.
All
Absolutely.
right, so if there's no other business coming
One
before us,
more.
ladies and gentlemen, you ain't gotta go home,
I
but
just
you gotta
wanna-
get out of here. We
I
are
want to
now
congratulate, hold on. I just wanted to congratulate Councilmember Melendez on his first meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Miguel. It's so much thrown at me this evening. I want to take that time. Thank you, Mary, for bringing that attention and not
And
losing
I
that
would be
moment.
remiss if I did not welcome Brittany Wells, our chief of staff, our new chief
Yes.
of staff.
Where's the
So
chief at? We got so many chiefs in the squares. We got another chief in the building. So congratulations, Miguel. Congratulations, Brittany, and thank all of the staff. Because every time I get an opportunity, I always like to commend all of the staff, all of you, for the hard work and dedication that you do for the citizens of Rochester. So let's just say thank you to everybody. And again, can I adjourn now? Is everybody okay? All right,
Yes.
so we're getting ready to adjourn. Thank you. Have a great night. Be safe. Protect your circle. Wear your mask.